In 1954, a factory foreman in Detroit raised 5 children, paid off a 3-bedroom house, and put $40 a month into savings on $4,200 a year. He never earned a raise. He never inherited a dime. What he had was a system, a set of money rules so effective that his family never once missed a meal, a mortgage payment, or a Sunday church offering. Most of those rules died with his generation. They managed money differently, not with apps or spreadsheets, but with habits carved into them by necessity. Those habits kept families together through recessions, layoffs, and winters when the savings jar was empty. We abandoned every one of them the moment credit became easy. These were not tricks. They were a way of life, passed down at kitchen tables, enforced without discussion. The generation who practiced them never thought of themselves as frugal. They just thought they were being careful. Then we decided careful was the same thing as poor. Number 14 on this list saved the average 1950s family more than $600 a year and requires nothing more than a pencil. Number 8 was considered embarrassing for decades until a self-made millionaire admitted he still does it every week. And number 3, the rule Depression-era families enforced more strictly than any other, is now recommended by certified financial planners as the most effective debt prevention habit ever practiced by ordinary Americans. These 25 tricks were not about being cheap. They were about never being helpless. They were the difference between a family that survived a layoff and one that lost everything. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the 25 forgotten poor man money tricks from the 1950s no one remembers anymore. Once a month, a factory wife in Cincinnati stopped using her checkbook entirely. Every purchase that week was cash only. She withdrew her grocery allowance on Monday, $12 in 1953, and folded it into her apron pocket. When the pocket was empty, shopping was done. A checkbook felt like money, but was not money. Cash had weight. When you handed it across a counter and watched it disappear, you felt it in a way no check allowed. Physical money does not lie. It never did. Number 24, the reuse jar. A hardware merchant in Akron kept a wide-mouth mason jar on the kitchen counter. Every rubber band, twist tie, paper bag, and length of string went into it. He did not buy rubber bands. He did not buy twine. What the jar replaced cost $1.40 a year, the equivalent of $16 today, recovered from what other families called garbage. His wife kept a second jar in the sewing room, buttons sorted by size, hooks from worn dresses. She replaced nothing she already owned, not one button in 14 years. The jar was a refusal to pay twice for something you already owned. Number 23, the two-pot dinner. A steelworker's wife in Pittsburgh never cooked from a single ingredient. Every meal used what the meal before it left behind. Sunday's roast chicken became Monday's soup. The fat from the soup went into Tuesday's biscuits. She fed 5 people on $14 a week. Her neighbor, who discarded what was left each night, spent $21. The difference was not in what they bought. It was in what they kept. Nothing was a leftover. It was just the next meal waiting to be recognized. Every Sunday afternoon, a retired schoolteacher in rural Illinois sat at her kitchen table for 1 hour and planned every purchase for the coming week. She wrote what she needed, estimated each cost, and subtracted from her weekly allowance. If the number was negative, the least necessary item came off the list. She had no surprises at the register in 31 years. A decision made on a quiet Sunday, with no hunger and no urgency, was worth 6 decisions made in a grocery aisle on Thursday evening. The plan was not a restriction. The plan was the defense. Number 21. Buying one size up. A machinist's wife in Youngstown bought her children's clothes one size too large every season. A shirt bought one size large in September fit correctly by November and still fit the following September. She bought every other year instead of every year. On a $4,800 household budget, she cut clothing costs from $180 to $95 annually. That $85 was half a month of groceries. Every woman on her street did the same. The clothing industry spent 40 years training Americans out of it. It succeeded. The extra inch of fabric was not sloppiness. It was mathematics. A retired postal worker in Baltimore laid out 12 months of utility bills every January, and he asked one question: which month cost the most and why? In 1958, he found his October bill was $2.40 higher than September's. Same weather, same household. The difference was a lamp moved across the room, requiring a heavier bulb. He moved the lamp back. That single afternoon saved him $2.40 every October for the next 10 years. The bill was not a demand. It was a document. Every document can be corrected. Number 19. The bread bag pantry. A housewife in Indianapolis kept a clean drawer for one purpose: bread bags washed and folded flat. She used them as sandwich wrappers, freezer liners, waterproofing inside her children's winter boots, and garden ties in July. She had not purchased plastic wrap in 4 years. Every woman on her block had a bread bag drawer. The arrival of Saran wrap in 1953 was met with genuine bewilderment. Why would you pay for something you already had? The bag was already paid for. Paying again was the choice, not the habit. A block of row houses in South Philadelphia ran what its residents called the trading. Mrs. Caruso made extra pasta sauce on Thursdays. Mrs. Kowalski baked extra bread on Tuesdays. Mrs. Patterson grew more garden zucchini than her family could eat. They exchanged without keeping accounts. Across a full year, the three women reduced their combined grocery costs by roughly $180 through exchanges that cost none of them $1 and required no additional labor. The trading required nothing but proximity. It was not generosity. It was a supply chain without a middleman. Here is what the financial industry will not tell you. Adults raised with Depression-era money habits carried 34% less revolving debt and saved at twice the rate of their peers. This was true across every income bracket, not just among the wealthy. The methods were never about income. They were about attention. The generation that built post-war America did not get rich by earning more. They got stable by losing less. Every Thursday evening, a seamstress in Newark set aside 1 hour to mend, scheduled and deliberate. A fraying coat cuff was caught on Thursday before it became a torn sleeve in February. A button was re-sewn before the shirt became unwearable. Over 11 years, she calculated her Thursday hour had prevented 43 replacement purchases worth $214. Her thread and needle cost $3 in the same period. The mending night was not frugality. It was maintenance. The same principle that keeps a factory running applies to every object in a house. An hour on Thursday cost nothing. The coat it saved cost $3. Number 16. Buying at end of season. A hardware store owner in Tulsa bought next winter's coal in July. Summer coal in 1951 cost $6.40 a ton. Winter coal cost $9.20 a ton. He bought 6 months early and stored it. The difference across 4 tons a winter saved him $11.20 a year, 2 weeks of groceries recovered from patience alone. He applied the same principle to clothing, seed, and canning supplies. Every category had a cheap season and an expensive season. He operated on the cheap season's schedule. He was not clever. He was early. Early was the whole system. A retired teacher in Baton Rouge did not shop until the pantry was nearly empty. Most families shopped every Saturday, regardless of what remained on the shelf. She shopped on necessity. If the pantry held 4 meals, she did not walk into a store. Her grocery bills were 18% lower than her neighbor's bills, not because she bought different items, but because she bought fewer of them. The entire difference was food she never purchased to replace food she already owned. Scheduled shopping creates phantom scarcity. The pantry was not empty when it felt empty. It was empty when it was empty. On the first of every month, a retired railroad engineer in Spokane wrote his income at the top of a piece of paper. Below it, every expense he knew was coming. He subtracted one from the other. Not an app, not a spreadsheet. A piece of paper, a pencil, 30 minutes, 43 years. His daughter found the notebooks after his death, columns of numbers in careful handwriting, month after month. Never a mystery about where the money had gone. He had watched it go, one line at a time. A dollar you track is a dollar you keep. A retired electrician in Cincinnati never bought an appliance, a car, or a repair service without first visiting the library. Consumer Reports had been published since 1936. He read 3 issues before any purchase over $10. He knew what a washing machine should cost, what a fair plumber's rate was, and what a used Chevrolet should sell for in his county. For 30 years, he was never taken advantage of, because he was never uninformed. Information was free. The library was free. What vanished was not the library. It was the habit of using it. A mill worker's family in Lowell designated every other Saturday a no-spend day. No purchases, not a candy bar, not a bus fare. 24 hours living on what the household already had. Across a year, 26 no-spend Saturdays eliminated roughly $8 per Saturday in incidental spending, $208 annually in 1954 dollars. The day did not teach deprivation, it taught distinction. The distinction was between wanting something because it was available and needing it because it was necessary. Practiced twice a month, that distinction rewired how the family thought about money for the rest of the week. Number 11, the repair book. A carpenter in Richmond kept a notebook labeled "What I Fixed and What It Cost." Every repair was recorded, including the date, the problem, the materials cost, and the estimated contractor price. By 1955, it held 214 entries. Total materials cost, $48. Estimated contractor cost for the same work, $310. He said the notebook was not about pride. It was about evidence. Every time a repair seemed too large, he read back through it. The evidence was always the same. He had done harder things for almost nothing. The record of what you have done is the proof you can do it again. Number 10, buying meat on the bone. A butcher's neighbor in Cleveland never bought boneless meat. Boneless chicken breast in 1952 cost 48 cents a pound. Thighs on the bone cost 19 cents a pound. She removed the bones herself, 3 minutes with one knife. The bones went into a stock pot. The meat went into the meal. She bought 1 chicken and extracted 4 meals. The butcher said she was his best customer and his least profitable one. A cook who cannot debone a thigh is paying 29 cents a pound for a 3-minute task someone else performed. The bone was the stock. The stock was 3 more days of eating. Number 9, the 3 before buying rule. A department store manager in Des Moines checked 3 prices before committing to any non-essential purchase. In 1955, he needed a winter coat. Sears, $18.50. The dry goods store, $16.25. The second-hand shop, $4, in nearly perfect condition. He wore it 9 years. Over 30 years, the habit saved him an average of $190 annually, and in total $5,700 was recovered, all from a notepad and the inconvenience of visiting 2 more stores. The first price is not the real price. It is the asking price. The real price is the third one you find. There is a word for what these families practiced that modern finance has nearly retired. Self-sufficiency. Not frugality, not budgeting. It is the condition of needing less from the outside world than the outside world expects you to need. The generation that survived the Depression kept, by habit and necessity, the skills that made outside dependency optional. We traded every one of those skills for the convenience of not needing them. A tool and die worker in Flint kept a savings jar on the kitchen counter, not hidden in a drawer. Every night he emptied his change into it. He never counted the amount before deposit day, because knowing the amount would have given him reasons to spend it. The jar filled every 4 months. Each deposit averaged $14.20. 3 deposits a year added up to $42.60. Over 20 years, $852 arrived without a single decision. It worked because the jar was visible. Visible savings jars work. Hidden savings jars do not. The only difference is 8 inches of countertop. A minister's wife in Knoxville bought all the family clothing once a year. In September, she shopped the end-of-summer clearance. Prices ran 40 to 60% below the season when the clothing would be worn. She spent $62 in September 1956 to clothe 4 children for the following 12 months. Her neighbor, who shopped reactively throughout the year, spent $118 for 3 children. Urgency is the most expensive moment to shop. That is when the store has the most leverage and the buyer has the least. She was never urgent. Urgency was what happened to families who did not plan. A freight dispatcher in Memphis had one principle: if he did not have the cash, he did not buy it. He waited 14 months for a refrigerator. His neighbors financed the same model over 18 months at 12% interest, and they paid $38 more for an identical machine. $38 was the cost of not waiting. He did not pay it. Modern credit eliminated the natural interval between needing something and being able to afford it. That elimination is not convenience. It is a FEE, paid every time, for as long as you own the thing you bought. Number 5, growing one thing. A machinist in Baltimore had a window box on the south wall of his house. He grew tomatoes. Only tomatoes. 6 plants eliminated his family's tomato grocery cost from June through September. 4 months, 0 spending. 94 cents in seeds. The box had been built from scrap lumber by his father-in-law and cost nothing. He did not call himself a gardener. He called himself a man who grew tomatoes. He was not interested in gardening as a practice. He was interested in the $4.80. Every skill a household holds is a bill it does not pay. You do not need a garden. You need one plant. Number 4, the running total. A bookkeeper in St. Louis kept a running total of his monthly spending in a small notebook in his jacket pocket. Not a budget, a total. Every purchase was added to the previous sum. He checked it before every non-essential purchase. Knowing the number reduced his discretionary spending by roughly 20%, not through restriction, through awareness. Most people have no idea what they have spent this month. They find out at the end, when it is too late to adjust anything. He knew at every moment. The count did not stop him from spending. It stopped him from spending without knowing. A plasterer in Chicago enforced one rule above all others: be consumer debt-free at the end of every single month. Groceries paid, electric bill paid, doctor paid. Nothing carried over. His neighbors carried small revolving balances on store accounts and thought nothing of it. By 1958, 3 households on his block had lost furniture to repossession, not from catastrophe, but from the slow accumulation of balances they had stopped thinking of as debt. He had never stopped thinking of them that way. Debt carried overnight charges. It earned interest in your sleep. He refused to fund it. Number 2, the skill you keep. A widow in Columbus in 1958 could do 7 things most neighbors hired out: cut hair, mend clothing, sharpen knives, plaster a wall crack, put up 40 quarts of vegetables each summer, make soap, and patch a window screen for 11 cents. Each skill was a bill she did not pay. She estimated her skills saved her $140 a year, nearly 3 months of groceries. The convenience economy arrived in the late 1950s, and it sold the idea that these skills were beneath modern women. The skills did not stop working. The social permission to use them was removed. Every skill lost is a service purchased forever. Number 1, spend less than you earn. That is the whole trick. No system, no envelope, no jar. The brutal, boring, unfashionable discipline of spending less than came in. Every week, every month, for decades. Until the gap between what you earned and what you spent became the foundation of everything. A paid home, a retirement, a generation that did not start from zero. The factory foreman in Detroit was not practicing 24 tricks simultaneously. He was practicing one so consistently that 24 others became inevitable. He spent less than he earned. Every month, without exception, for 30 years. That was the system. It always was. None of these tricks required a college degree. None required an advisor, an app, or a subscription. They required attention, the willingness to look at money honestly, without shame and without fantasy. The generation that lived through the Depression understood something modern America has spent 70 years trying to unlearn: that comfort is not the same as security, that the ability to buy anything you want is worthless if you have not first built the ability to say no. These were not poor people's habits. These were free people's habits. The factory foreman in Detroit was not rich. He was unreachable by layoffs, by inflation, by the quiet dread that sits in the chest of a man who does not know what he owes. The paper is still free. The pencil still costs a dime. Only the habit has faded.